So how are you doing today?
Good, good, good. I just landed in Portland last night.
Yeah.
I don't even think I've been here for 24 hours, but I'm loving it. I've never done a Comic-Con before, so I'm having a blast. Yes.
Yeah, so that's coming up next week?
Here.
It's here.
Yes.
It's happening now?
It's
okay.
it's the Portland Comic-Con. I went yesterday to kind of do some interviews and walk around the convention center, and I'm going back today. And
that's really cool. How was that, meeting the fans and stuff?
Oh, it was crazy. It was.
Yeah.
I mean, when I got off the plane, I was surprised that people had stuff for me to sign and even recognized me, and that was really cool. And then being out on the convention floor was just great.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, you're turning into quite a scream queen.
Oh, well, it's more like a make people scream queen.
Yeah.
I am playing the devil, of course.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's they're changing the definition now. It used to be that the scream queen was supposed to be the final girl of the slasher film, like Jamie Lee Curtis.
That's right.
And now they're kind of changing it around to, okay, it's like now that women can be the bad guys. Now they're changing it around to, okay, scream queen just applies to any female protagonist or antagonist in a horror film.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I guess the horror nerds had like a convention and they were like, okay, we're changing the definition now. So I don't know, because I was looking that up yesterday because I was going to ask you about that, and what's the definition of scream queen these days? Like, has it changed? And I looked it up, and apparently, like, it's been kind of adjusted a little bit. No.
Yeah, it has been, and growing up, I loved watching horror movies with my dad. That was my summer. I love action movies, and God, even this morning I was watching the news, and I think for Daytona 500 they have their first female pit crew woman, and I love that trend that women are becoming it's their time now between the Olympics and even the roles that you see surfacing are these strong females, and with Nell, even though she's sheltered and vulnerable, she has this tensile strength, this hope to survive, and then getting a chance to play the ultimate evil, Abalam. And I've also done some action films, post-apocalyptic film, The Day, which was just kick-ass role. I love doing something like that. I hope to continue along that vein.
That's amazing. So did you, I saw that they didn't do a screening yet, so I haven't been able to see Last Exorcism 2.
Okay.
But from the trailers, it looks like it was shot with a more traditional narrative style as opposed to found footage and mockumentary. And I just wanted to ask you, what are the challenges of each style as an actress, and do you prefer one over the other?
What was exciting about that, just first of all, was I think everybody expected it to be found footage, and when it wasn't, everybody was shocked. And I think that's a really great start of the shock that people can expect to see when they see the film, that kind of that, whoa, you don't know what's gonna happen, and to incorporate the found footage into this one as a leaked YouTube video is just, it's so what the times are now.
Oh yeah.
But it's stylistically a little different in that, in the first film, working with Daniel Stamm, there were very specific moments as to when to play to the camera. The camera became a character. So when do you glance directly down the barrel? When do you smile? When do you not? You could, a lot of that character was when are you seeing Nell and when are you seeing Abalam, and when is that devil using the camera to manipulate the audience? So having all that to play with was a lot of fun to break that fourth wall and manipulate in that sense. With a film like this, it is straight narrative, so you just I think the preparation for both is the same. As an actress, I do my preparation, I do my homework, and I go to job, but I'm not going to be looking down the barrel for this one. Yeah.
And what is it like to shoot a found footage or mockumentary technically as an actress? Do you find it? How does the blocking work, and do you find it more liberating for you as opposed to a more traditional narrative film, or is it restricting?
It is liberating because you as an actor you've been trained to kind of block out a whole crew standing there watching you, and to now to take those rules and break them and play with the camera is liberating. It was fun for the first one. Yeah.
And how does the and I mean there was certain blocking and rehearsals beforehand, right? And how does that work in a found footage film as opposed to a traditional narrative? Is it a bit more kind of bit more liberal, the way that they move the camera?
Yeah, I mean, that's what was so cool about the first one was, Daniel Stamm, his DP is Zoltan Honti, and Zoltan is just brilliant, and the two of them together communicate without talking. It's that relationship between director and DP, and, all of those scenes, Zoltan is right there, and it was great to have that tight atmosphere and to be working in tandem like that. But with what's exciting about exorcism movies, and I guess what's been a blessing with both of these films is the collaborative nature on set. Is in that you start filming and the scenes keep on growing and adding more and more. A big part of part 2 was to try to one-up the backbend I did from the first one. And if you've seen the trailer, there's this levitating backbend. And, that was a moment where there was a stunt team on set. I got cleared to do it 8 times. We did it 20 times because each and every time there was something new, a new element was being added. And, here's Ed, the director. All the crew was involved on set that day. Everything was playing, and Ed is almost conducting it like it's an orchestra, and it's building and building and growing, and that's what's fun, to be on a set that's that collaborative.
That's really cool. That's a great segue too, because my next question was about your contortions.
Oh yes.
And I read that in the first one, on the second one as well, I'm guessing, you did a lot of the extreme contortions your body goes through, you did it yourself, and there was no special effects, and it's including the part where you bend your fingers backwards, or was that?
Yes, I'm very method. I broke my fingers. No, those were built by the incredible Greg Nicotero. That was a treat. As a horror geek myself, I kind of flipped out visiting Greg Nicotero's factory and going into the warehouse and seeing Pumpkinhead and seeing the shark from Jaws and just molds and stuff. It was really
That's why it looked so real, and it fooled me. And after watching thousands and thousands of horror films, I was still, when I read about that, I was like, how did she do that? And of course, I didn't know Greg Nicotero did the makeup, so if he's on it, then it makes sense that it looks so real.
Yeah.
But basically it's because you have a condition called hypermobility. Is that true, or is it like a?
A reporter told me that's what it is. That I'm apparently hypermobile.
So it's not like you went to the doctor as a child and they diagnosed you with hypermobility and you've known
I'm
about
an
it
X-Men. My skill is, it's so funny. I had people use the word contortioning or I had no idea. I'm a trained actress, and what inspired me was watching exorcism movies, or exorcism tapes, actual accounts, and hearing audio, and seeing that, it kind of inspired me to try it myself, that physicality. And when I found out I could do the backbend, Daniel had asked me if I had anything I wanted to try, and I said, well, I can do this. And he said, okay, you stay there. I'm going to change some things. And I had no idea it would become the poster image or kind of this iconic pose. So, was it a part of the audition process, or was it kind of like you've been cast already and it was like a happy surprise? The backbend was a happy surprise. I didn't know what was going to be required of me physically on set, so I prepared myself for everything. But in the callback, they actually had me get exercised in the room. I think that video is on YouTube somewhere, but you can
I'll check it out. Yeah.
You can. I was going for my audition, and they're like, "Okay, we're going to have you have you get exercised?
So it's kind of like an improv scene of, okay, you're going to get exercised now.
Yes, it was.
Completely off script and everything.
Completely. That part of the audition was, there was one part of the audition, and then that was, I was sitting on a chair like this one, and they're like, you're going to get exercise? I said, oh, can I lay on the ground? And they're like, oh, yeah, okay. I was like, oh, great. So I laid on the ground, and we just begun.
That is so cool. I didn't find that when I was doing research, but I can't wait to check that out.
Oh yeah, I think it's on. I think it's on. I think it's on the Blu-ray for the first film as a feature, and then it probably has ended up.
Someone probably put it on YouTube somewhere. Yeah,
ripped it on YouTube somewhere. But
definitely,
yeah,
I'll look that up.
Yeah.
And I saw that one of your upcoming films of comic book adaptation called Sparks.
It is, yes.
And it looks like you play kind of a sexy superhero, which is like a really big departure from.
It's a huge jump. Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about that role, and how did you prepare for that, like physically and emotionally?
Yeah, that role was fun because I do get, Lady Heavenly, I think is my character's name. It is a superhero, and in the script, she has these 5-person takedown scenes, and I was like, well, there's movie magic, but they were sending me to fight lessons and sending me, to work with the stunt guys, because again, they wanted me to do all my own physicality, which is awesome to be allowed to do. And I began looking at fight styles, and Muay Thai fighting is Thai fighting with somebody my size, and it's totally lethal. So I was talking with the director. I was like, well, what about this as a style? And he was like, yes, that's where we're going. So they actually sent me to Muay Thai lessons to kind of prep to get this whole different physicality of fighting, and I continue to take it up. I love Muay Thai. It's a great workout. And
yeah, it looks like you kick some ass as much as I could. As much as I could see, and So and it looks like it's kind of like in the vein of I'm not familiar with the comic book, but and kind of like the real life superheroes of like Kick-Ass or Watchmen.
Absolutely, kind of that's exactly what it is. It's Gotham-esque in a sense that villains and superheroes control the order in the town, and it's a lot of fun having. I done the voice of Lady Heavenly in they turned the graphic comic into an animated, slightly animated, I guess 2D animation kind of version for computer and for iPad and all that stuff. And I'd done the voice there, and then when they were turning it into the film, they approached me to do it, and I was like, hell's yes. It's too awesome. So, having studied the comics so much from doing the voice of it, being on set and stepping behind the monitors, they got the lighting down to the T, the costumes, the fog machines. We were filming in Lacey Street Studios in LA, which is this great set because it's all this kind of old city, and everything from the sewer drains that we would crawl into. It's to the T what you see in the comic.
So it's kind of like Sin City, where they took the panels and it's exactly.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. Cool. They made it move, but there are really iconic images where you could just draw the comparison.
Cool! I can't wait to check that out.
Thanks. And, it'll be up at Cinequest. It'll be having its premiere at Cinequest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And you actually provide like amazing segues for me because. Without even seeing my questions, so I'm thinking maybe it's like that scene from Ghostbusters where Venkman is like holding up the card and asking the girl for it. But the difference is you're actually getting the answers right.
Oh.
But because the next thing I was going to ask you about was about your voiceover work because you do a lot of voiceovers for animated and video games, and your parents are also actors who do a lot of voiceovers. So does that come because of your parents? Does that come like more natural to you than on-camera acting, or if you is there one type of acting that you prefer over the other?
I'd have to say D, all of the above. Growing up with actors as parents was just such I had the best bedtime stories in the world because my dad has done so many voices and accents and dialects, and he started out on camera as well, and a very clear memory was when he was doing Deep Space Nine after school. My mom picked me up, and we went to Paramount, and here's my dad in full alien makeup walking down the Paramount lot. And,
that's so cool.
My mom's like, Michael? And he's like, how did you recognize me? But, kind of being a part of that world was so exciting. And then with voiceover, watching my dad work, even though you're not on camera, every part of you is involved to physicalize these roles. I mean, he's playing everything from giant ogres to... for Soul Reaver, that character, G.I. Joe, I mean, all these different people. It's pretty physical, even though it's just your voice. But to convey that emotion, you need to get involved. So, it's been a treat to do voiceovers, because I've done everything from playing a butterfly to, for Sorcery, playing Erline, that character, and that was great, because, you step into studio and you see your script and you're battling, again, ogres, to hiding in a stump, to going into other worlds, to it's all acting. It's a great other character to step into. Yeah.
And because you have to communicate through sound only, does it make it a bit more of a challenge in creating the character when you're just doing voice?
Very much so. Voiceover, I've learned from my dad, is a whole technique. It's having a mic technique it's what makes him so good at his job.
That's why I remember during the mid-'90s when Disney and DreamWorks started hiring big-name stars just for their name, and there was a big backlash from the voice acting community saying that it's not just about a big star just going up there and doing whatever voices. It's a whole other art form, and that was their issue. Like, voice actors should be hired for voice acting work.
Right. I mean, in that vein, watching my dad work, when he's on a show, like, I wasn't alive when this was going on, but when he was doing the Smurfs, when you're hired as a voice actor, you're oftentimes hired to do 3 different roles on a show, provide 3 completely different characters. So he did Handy, Lazy, and Grouchy. For the Rugrats, he did Chaz, Chucky's dad, Drew, and then Grandpa Boris, the old Jewish grandpa. And people didn't know he was all of those. It requires so much study, because if you get an audition for anything from English to Scottish to playing an Afghan dog, which my mom has done for a cartoon show, and you need to have that ear and have that study, and it was people say, oh, you got to. It's an easier segue for you to get into voiceovers, but it's not, because of the skill it requires. It's a whole mic technique, which, watching my dad work, I have so much respect for.
Yeah, so there's no segue this time, but
Terry, just one more question.
One more question?
Yeah,
sure,
thanks.
No problem. So do you see yourself as a horror fan as well? Do you see yourself kind of continue to keep doing horror films, maybe before getting official word, I shouldn't call it Scream Queen now, but do you see yourself going on as a horror actress, or do you see yourself kind of branching out into other genres, and what would be your favorite genre to work in? I mean, you've done some action as well.
Right. What's great about the breakout role of Part 1 was that, Nell is such a complex character, and the genre pushes you so much as an actress, physically and emotionally and mentally, that when you're pushed that far out of your comfort zone, that's where things get fun. And fortunately, I've been allowed to do a lot of action, which I really hope to continue, because I like those sets. It's very fun for me to physically, for the day I had to go through all this shotgun training and got a chance to, to work with this gun, because it's an extension of the character, and to learn that was really a fun challenge, for me. So I would love to continue doing action, but I also have studied at the Groundlings, which my mom was one of the founders there. I have a romantic comedy coming out called The Bounce Back, which will be premiering at South by Southwest. So I always hope to return to the horror genre because it's challenging, but and the horror community has so embraced the first film so much. But as an actress, it's a lot of fun to have jumped into comedy, and I hope to continue on with action as well.
Cool, that sounds great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.